You mentioned a few days ago stopping housing acquisition. The administration has been releasing the names of the companies that aren't being paid. Will your administration do that?
Yeah, I don't know what the legal aspect of it is. It's certainly on this. And look, to me, my advice to those companies would be to get a lawyer now. And I just have to tell you that we are digging deeper into that. There's about 1,600 providers in that. Every one of those will be scrutinized, and I'm talking in real time right now. But at some point, those will all be released because I believe they're public anyway. Once they get out there, you'll be able to separate who's in there. But our intention is that this program, as you heard, well-intentioned, good, but simply has too many loopholes.
Why did it take until news reports came out for those payments to be stopped?
They were stopped before those came out, but several of them were. The issue was using the new powers that we were granted by the legislature and putting them in. And I think some of it is me directing very clearly to them that what I understand is, and this is not about cruelty or whatever, there will be people who are playing by the rules and that this is doing what it's supposed to do, which is incredibly important, that will be caught up in this and slowed down. And I think it's just making the case, and I made it very strongly to them, is we have to err on the other side of this or the program won't work at all.
Governor, are you glad to see that the State Patrol is going to get a third-party review of Capitol security? Is that measure overdue?
I always think it is, and I think these are things that have never happened before. We've never seen a political assassination on the level that we saw here. I think so, and I think the one thing about that, I think all of us are finding out, Capitol security is a complex web between the county, between the city, between the State Patrol, and also that we have an advisory board that doesn't really have a whole lot of power on Capitol grounds, that bringing those folks in, always getting another eye on it, I think is good. I think just we have to have the discussion. Are we going to use metal detectors? Are we going to talk about guns? I think some of them, though, it's convenience and it's a Minnesota thing, but I think we're all grappling with this. Why are so many doors open all the time? And I think, unfortunately, in our world, that makes sense. So I think bringing in experts on this to put an eye on it and tell us, because sometimes when you're too close to it, and I think we're going to have to be told by outside folks, look, we really respect your open culture, but we really believe that the risk is too high in doing that. And so I'm glad they're doing it.
What are you meeting with leaders on today?
This issue. We're going to talk this afternoon. I think they're going to bring up their concerns. It's the 4 caucus leaders, myself. DPS will be briefing them on where they're at right now, State Patrol, and then seeing where they're from. Because, again, we have to honor the separation of the branches. The issue I talked about is stepping in that House chamber. I have to be invited to go in there, as we speak to them, and the same thing is true of the security. What role does the sergeant at arms play? And then I think in a citizen legislature, how are we getting those local police departments? And they're as far flung as Grand Portage down to Worthington. And how are all of them acting together to get those local folks at their home? I think the Capitol, I feel very confident we can handle that, and there's security measures we can put in. I'm still deeply concerned about the legislators and their families when they're off campus.
Governor, any update on the cyber attack in St. Paul? Have you been in touch with them?
No, nothing at this time. We've got 13 National Guard who are cyber experts, and I think you've heard this. Many of these folks work in the private sector on their full-time job as cybersecurity experts. Minnesota is actually probably the top state for this. We've advocated to be a leadership in that. Those folks are activated now. I think the city did really prudent. Once they spotted this, they basically closed all the doors and shut things down, and now it's about walking back through that as we put the labels in place. And I've not received an update as of this morning. Last night, as we heard, that there was no more breaches, and the way I understand it from the city, and I'll let them speak for themselves, their concern was with employee data, not necessarily citizens' data that was in there, because that's the next piece of this. But I think it highlights this issue, attacking a water treatment plant. Our fear has always been attacking a cooling system in a nuclear plant, attacking a highway system, controlling how those all work. These are very dangerous acts. They're acts of terrorism and extortion, and now trying to use the expertise that we have both in the state but also federally to help us figure that out. But as of this time, I think the city of St. Paul did everything they could immediately. It was over the whole weekend working together, and then letting folks know that we have these resources. I think I saw some people misinterpret we had the National Guard out there in an armed capacity. That's not it. These are cyber experts. These are security experts that work for the National Guard. And these state actors, and some of you heard me say this, it's hundreds of times a day that we get these attacks that try and come in. You get them. Just fill this out. I think the one that was around here, I apparently have a parking ticket with DPS or something. I think all of you got that one. Those are very simple but very effective, and this was the same type of thing, I think. And we didn't, I'll let them speak to it, the denial of service types of attacks, but they can be really debilitating. But thank you all for coming.
We're going to lead you.
Thank you, Governor. All right.